Welcome back to One of One PLLRS Podcast. I'm happy today to be able to be sitting down with someone that this is not the first time we've shot together. We've done stuff behind the scenes, and you have pulled up to do a podcast I worked on. And after we met, I just thought this would be a really cool conversation to have to dive deeper into your background. I didn't know all the things you were involved with, all the careers you touched, and I didn't know you were a doctor either. And you're gonna have to tell me more about that.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
you go by Dr. Amadeus?
Yes, sir. Amadeus, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and
throw
give me
in
flowers and
throw in the Dr.
doctor part.
Amadeus.
I'm still getting used to that, man.
Yeah.
I'm still getting used
Congratulations on the
to
doctorate,
that. Thank you,
man.
my brother. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Amadeus, the producer,
Yes, sir.
Amadeus, the doctor, and you also, if I'm correct, you've also navigated other parts of the music industry in terms of, and we're going to get into all that because you toured with Trey Songz for 18 years.
18 years to current day, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's a blessing.
bro. Anything you do 18 years in is amazing.
Absolutely.
But in this industry in particular is massive. That's a miracle in of itself.
The longevity of it. Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to get into, we had a conversation off camera that I wanted to get deeper into at one point where you were talking about how you got your start. You had this dream, and at the time you didn't really know how to navigate it, and then with the support of the person you were with at the time, you got this equipment, and you were like, okay, I'm going to do this now.
Right.
This is the career I'm going to dive deep into. What did it take for you to, even with everything seemingly not going the way you wanted to or moving as fast as you would have, having like the tenacity to keep going?
I think, because even prior to that moment that you speak of, right, with my partner at the time and helping to invest in me and purchasing that MTC 2000 XL, which really got things moving. Like I was already moving prior to that. I just didn't own my own equipment. I didn't have my own studio, so I would have to rely on others and my partner at the time, and finding wherever I can create at and make that work. So I was borrowing the keyboard from, my late minister of music at church, Derek Garbo. Like I was using people's equipment. That's how passionate I was about it, and that's how much I was not allowing anything to stop me. You got to think, I'm from the Bronx. I'm from the projects. I'm from the hood. I'm from the 9. Like they call my block the 9, 169th and Washington Avenue. So the things that I saw, the things that I've experienced, the things that my parents thankfully kept me away from, all of that kind of made me me. That made me fearless. That made me say, okay, if this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be, what I want to become, I'm going to have to do everything possible to get there. And that was kind of like my thought process, because that was my thought process on survival of being a young kid, going to Catholic school all my life, dressing up, like being from the hood, and being nervous of going in and out of my house when I went to school, when I went to church. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when it comes to like chasing my dreams, like, nah, I didn't chase and ran from things that was way more scarier than that. Like, for me, that was the outlet. That was my only way out of what I was surrounded by. So, it was just hand in hand. Like, and when God showed me that dream and that vision of me becoming one day the biggest musician and music producer, like I thought that, like, and I believed it wholeheartedly, and I was gonna do whatever it took to get to that place.
So you felt like it was a matter of like survival versus something you really wanted to do?
Something that I wanted to do, because that I felt like it was a love and passion that I had for music first, but then it was like me realizing what I was surrounded by and saying, okay, I have a choice to make. Either I really go after this and do it and make it happen by any means necessary, or die, or end up locked up, or end up doing something that I shouldn't be doing, or surrounded by people that I shouldn't be surrounded by. So that was the outlet, and that was freedom. But at the end of the day, it was still something that I was passionate about. You know what I mean? So it's the passion first, and then realizing, okay, if I don't want to be of where I'm from, if I don't want to, be a statistic, then this is what it's going to take, and this is the path that I'm going to have to go down in order to not be that.
So you're in it. You're pushing. You're borrowing equipment. You finally got the MPC.
Yes, MPC 2000
you finally got the
XL.
MPC, and you're doing your thing. What was the breakthrough moment? What was the moment where it's just like, okay, this is moving now. Now the money's coming in.
Yeah.
Now there's some recognition. My name is getting out there. What was that breakthrough moment for you? I don't know if it was a song. I don't know if it was a meeting. Like, what was it?
I mean, a ton of meetings was happening, right? I always talk about, that moment, but I love the conversation that we're having to really dive deeper into it. Like, I was taking label meetings. I was showing up to studios. Like, I was standing in front of record labels, studios, hoping that an artist would, be leaving or coming in, hand them a beat tape, to date myself, hand them a beat tape, cassette tape, hand them a beat CD, hand them a DAT of, my beats on it. So those are a lot of moments that I've experienced, going to parties, going to album release parties, going to industry events that we would find out, sneaking my way, because I was young at the time. I was still in high school. You know what I'm saying? So just figuring out a way to be seen and heard, because when you think about it, and we can relate, we're from the same era, it's like there was no internet.
Yeah.
There was no social media. So you had to, I know they saying being outside right now, like, nah, but we was really outside, 25 plus years ago. Like, I stood in front of the studios. I stood in front of the labels. I remember Redman, who was absolutely one of my favorite artists of all time. I remember Redman pulling up to Def Jam, 48th Street, between 9th and 10th, double parking his Benz, running out, car still running, to go run upstairs to Def Jam. And I remember bugging out, seeing him, like, yo, that's Redman. Like, so it's a mixture of being fanned out, but then also being the producer Amadeus that I am, like, I got to get him a beat tape, a beat CD. And I stood right there. And when he came back down, because I said he couldn't be that long. His car's right here's a Benz, double parked. And he came back out, and I was like, yo, Red. And I passed it up, and he was like, yo, appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. I'm gonna definitely play this. I'm gonna live and listen to this. Now, I don't know whether he ever, listens, because a Redman and Amadeus record didn't come at that time. You know what I'm saying? But those were the moments that I had to create. But to go back to, the question asked, shout out to Foxy Brown, man. Shout out to Foxy Brown, the Il Nana. And I remember, having her poster hanging up in my locker in school. But that was the moment. I met with her brother, Anton Marchand. He was the head of A&R and Interscope Records. Went to play him some beats. He had Maya, City High, Wyclef, and another artist. I can't remember that he was working with at the time. I was heavy on hip-hop. Heavy. I wasn't even making R&B at that time. So I went and played him these beats. And he like, yo, this is too rough, bro. Like, I can't get this to Maya. I can't get this to Wyclef. He said, you should go play these for my sister. I said, who's your sister? He said, Foxy Brown. I said, man, ain't your sister, bro. And I'm looking at his desk, and his desk says Anton Marchand. Now, one thing I was really big on was reading credits and knowing who was who. The first thing I would do with buying an album is to read the credits before I even listen to it, to know who produced, who wrote on it, who was the A&R, who was the manager, because I was always doing research. So I knew her real name was Inga Marchand. So when I looked at his desk and it said Anton Marchand, I was like, yo, this is really her brother. He's like, yo, she's going to be at Chung King Studio tonight, 7 p.m. Go play these same beats, same exact order. He's like, I feel like she's going to love something. Fast forward, went to the studio, played the beats. Remember walking in the room, she's sitting right there. Definitely fanned out. I had to hold it together because I wanted to be professional. I really wanted to lock in, and this could be a moment. So she was real laid back, chill. What's up? Heard you got some heat. Let me hear that. Played it. She was real quiet, nonchalant. All right. She's like, can I keep the CD? She was like, just, vibe with it, see if I can catch something. I'm like, you cool, bet. Walked out the room, and I was like, yo, that was Foxy Brown, bro. Looked amazing, by the way. Like, when I thought about my poster and seeing her live and in the flesh, it's one of those moments. And I remember, going back home, hyped up, like, yo, I met with Foxy Brown today, played her some beats, hopefully something happens. And I got a phone call the next day, like, yo, she wrote 3 songs, bro. I'm like, word. She wrote a diss record with her getting at Eve, because her and Eve from Rough Riders had a little beef that time. So she wrote a diss record that was insane. And then she wrote another song called Cradle to the Grave, which, rest in peace, DMX was working on the Cradle to the Grave movie and soundtrack. So the other record that we created was the actual title, theme, and song to that movie and soundtrack. And that was the moment. So I had 2 for 1. A diss record that, shout out to Big Bronx, that Funkmaster Flex was playing on Hot 97. Going, this is new Foxy Brown. Dropping bombs on it. So I'm hearing that in the car going crazy. And then, a few weeks later, movie comes out, soundtrack comes out. I go buy the CD in FYE to date myself again.
Yeah.
Go watch the movie in the theaters, listening to the song playing the movie for 26 seconds. Still I know the time. And seeing my name at the end of the credits, when the movie was over. And that was, one of the biggest moments in my life. But that was the first moment into, like, the production world. And that was my first placement, as a record producer. And then after that, everything else was history, man.
Like, that story in of itself, like, just that, if your career ended there, if nothing else happened, that's a moment. Like, not a lot of people could say their song was featured in a movie. I love Cradle to the Grave, by the way. It's one of my favorite movies.
Same.
And the soundtrack was fire. I think that was back when, I don't know, I felt like there was a little bit more, I don't want to say soul, but like there was a little bit more something on the soundtrack.
Yes, sir.
And I think the last soundtrack that gave me that vibe or feeling, I think, was when I think it was Kendrick and T that did the Black Panther soundtrack. Yeah.
That was an incredible soundtrack.
That was a great soundtrack.
That was incredible.
But if everything stopped right there, bro, you did it. You accomplished something. Yeah, that's a huge moment.
Big moment.
Then after the Foxy thing happens, what happens? Is there like things slow down again, and then it's a little bit before something goes, or things go super fast?
Because I was always a hustler. I was always in people's faces. I was always working and creating, always having a new beat tape, a new beat CD, hitting A&Rs up. And that back then, we had the Time Port 2-way pages. You know what I'm saying? So the moment I would finish a CD or a tape, I would reach out to everybody in my contacts. I got a new beat tape. I got a new beat CD. Get that to them. I was mailing them out that time. I was taking meetings at labels. I was dropping CDs off. And I was just always in everybody's faces, man, with music. So, and like you said, that was a big moment. And I had to have a self-meeting, like, because it was such an accomplishment. And I started out so high. That album sold 500,000 copies. I got a gold plaque off of my first beat sold. So it was a bit of pressure for me, right? Because it was exciting. But at the same time, I said to myself, like, this is where you starting at, bro. So, like, where does it go from here? Like, how do you top that? You know what I'm saying? And I just put the work in. And after that, G-Unit and Dipset and Mike Jones and Lil Mo and Fab and it locks. It just went crazy. And I never got comfortable. I never got satisfied. It was always, all right, cool, next. All right, cool, next. And that's what it was, for me, just getting placements and placements and placements and placements as a producer and really getting my name out there. And again, no internet, right? So I had to really, I was sending email blasts to everybody in my contacts, letting them know, when I had a new record out, just to keep people aware of what I was doing and that I was really working and getting it in. And because, back then it was really on some, like, what you've done and who you working with. And, or you got that. It's people that won't work with you until you build a resume, until you build a name for yourself, no matter how dope you are. And I had to learn that getting into the game. Like, yo, am I not dope? Am I not creating greatness? There's some people that's why I really appreciate Foxy Brown and Anton, because they respected and heard the gift and the talent and was able and willing to tap into that before there was a name developed, before anybody knew who I was. And that's real, especially in the music business, bro. Like, you can be fire and nobody will touch you or want to work with you or give you an opportunity because they don't know who you are and no one else co-signs you. So Foxy Brown co-signing me as one of the dopest female MCs in hip-hop, period, was a moment. And I really had to take advantage of that and get out there and do what I did.
So things didn't slow down. Things went super fast. Crazy. So what was the next big moment? You have the Cradle to the Grave. You got the gold plaque off of that, and you mentioned G-Unit. You mentioned the Locks. You mentioned Dipset. I was huge fan of all these guys growing up. What was the next big moment?
It might have been Lil Mo, because we had done a lot of work together, and I remember creating a song called Brand New for Meet the Girl Next Door, and that's the album that I have Forever, and not Forever. I'm going blank. The joint with her and Fab. Going blank right now. More I love you. But it was a big moment for me, man. And that,
Her and Fab. I'm trying to think. What song's that? Was it
is
like
Forever?
Superman or Superwoman?
Forever.
Oh, not that.
Women, loving you for life.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm terrible with lyrics.
Yeah.
Don't kill me. Don't judge me. So it was so many moments R&B, but I was making like hip hop joints, and I felt like artists like a little more would take the hip hop vibes that I was creating in it and write an R&B record on top of it. You know what I mean? That's what made it so much dope. But it was so many moments, man, and it's like as I sit here, I can't even remember like all of the pimp like the moments that was, because so many moments have happened since then. You forget. You forget it because you're so busy focused on what's next and where you are, man. So like I said, it was going by so fast, but I had so much music, and I was prepared for where God was taking me. You know what I mean? Because all I did was hustle, and all I did was work, and all I did was create. So once people started reaching out and I started becoming in demand, I was able to keep up with that because of all of the work that I was putting in prior to.
So, and I get it. I get things being a blur and you being so locked in that you're not even taking account of everything happening. But there has to be like a moment where you're kind of like, this is surreal.
I'll tell you this, and I don't know where it's on a timeline. And shout out to Cheri Dennis. I was actually having a conversation with her, who was signed to Bad Boy. And so growing up, Puff Daddy and Bad Boy and the Hitmen were a production team that I was super influenced by in every way. They brought us Biggie, they brought us Rest in Peace, they brought us Mace, 112, Faith Evans, Total, like Black Rob, Rest in Peace, like G-Dap. Like it was just a team and a crew that just created greatness. And I was super influenced by them. And I always, as a kid, growing up as a producer, I was like, yo, one day I'm going to be a hitman. One day I'm going to be a bad boy. I'm going to be a hitman. I want to be a part of this crew and team. And I put in work for years on my own. And I remember one moment, and it was with Cheri Dennis. We created a record called Waiting on her debut album. And it was that song that got the attention of Puff. And he was like, yo, who made this? He's like, yo, this kid named Amadeus, and I was super young. It's a kid named Amadeus, and it was the vibe that it was. It was R&B, but it was so unique and different from the rest of the album and what everybody else had brought to the table production-wise to that project. And it gained his attention. And I remember, us having a meeting in regards to like possibly becoming a part of Hitmen. And just sitting in that room, and rest in peace, Fran Sparrow. She was, the queen that managed all of the Hitmen producers. And she was like, yo, Puff wants to see you. And I was like, all right, cool. So we in the studio. I'm making music in the B room, which is where Big recorded and wrote a lot of his records, making beats. He comes in. It's like, yo, Mr. Combs wants to meet with you in Studio A. We're in the Studio A, and we just sat there, and he's playing music and playing ideas. And he turns around and just like looks at me, like just like this. Right? And I'm going to take my shades off so you can like eye contact, just... And it was like a moment where we just both paused and we just stared at each other. Now, what I've known is how he instilled fear in people, just from his presence, his aura, his energy, his greatness, and people would be afraid. And in that moment, I was just like, oh, I'm here, bro. In my head, I didn't say anything out loud. It was just a moment of like, I'm here. I'm not afraid. I'm excited, and I'm here for a reason. I'm here because God put me here. I'm here because I worked my behind off for years. I'm here because I've earned a spot here. And we looked, faced off, turned around, played music, and was like, yo, I'm gonna holler at you. Go ahead back in, Studio B, do what you're doing. And I went back, and the phone rang. And it was Fran. And she was just like, yo. I said, yo. She was like, how did it go? I was like, well, we ain't really talking nothing. We just like stared at each other. She was like, yeah, the stare down. I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, welcome to Bad Boy. And I was like, what you mean? And she was like, yeah, he loves your music, he loves your vibe, he loves your energy, he loves your aura, and then you ain't budge. You ain't turn, it just showed your fearlessness. And she was like, welcome to Bad Boy. And that was the moment where another dream of mine came true. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely have to speak on that moment. And then I signed to Bad Boy when like Danny Kane and Day 26 and making the band. That was the era that I was always the youngest hitman, a part of the team. You know what I'm saying? And to be embraced by, you know, Derek D. Angeletti and all of the guys I grew up listening to, Mario Winans and Stevie J, you know what I'm saying? And Nasheem Myrick and Buck Wild, who was, you know, my OG and my the person that put me on, like, now these are my brothers. Now these are kings that I work alongside. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, bro, like, and I know there's a lot going on right now. With Puff and, you know, him being in locked up, and every time I see it, it's like, man. But what we can't do, and I'm speaking for me, is we can't take away the legacy that was built. We can't discredit the music and the artist and the creativity from the music to, like I said, Big, Faith, 112, Total, like on and on, to Sean John, to the fragrances, just the vibe, the aura, the energy, the swag. Like, whatever's going on, it's between him and God.
Yeah.
And obviously the court's involved. He's serving time. He's doing whatever they said, you know, that whatever. So I've never really spoke on it like that. But my dream came true.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that came together from being a part of Bad Boy and from, you know, working alongside Puff, the phone calls that was made on my behalf, like whenever I reached out, I was responded to.
Yeah.
Whatever I needed, hands on, he would take care of. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful, bro. I'm grateful that another dream of mine came true. And I had to share that story of me dreaming that as a little kid and manifesting that, and it becoming my reality, and it becoming a life-changing, you know, moment for me.
To touch on that, because like that wasn't really even on my radar, to be honest, because, like, you know, most people shy away from that situation. And me personally, there is a sort of internal conflict, because it's like you have people that like do so much good, people that do these amazing things, people that impact the culture, people that become a much needed reference point for what success looks like. Because like growing up, like you looked at people like, especially someone who's not musically inclined, but is a huge fan of hip hop. Yeah. The people I would look at as a reference point would be like a Puff. I mean, and he sort of danced the line between artist and manager and producer and all those other things. But then you have Puff, and then you have a Dame Dash, and you have Biggs Burke, and guys like that, who I would look at as like, you can have a place in this culture without necessarily being a rapper or being a singer or like, you know, any of that other stuff. So I think it's super unfortunate that the situation that he's in is happening now, or the situation in general, anyone that's been affected by it or anything like that.
Absolutely.
But to your point, I don't think we gain anything by discrediting or just, like, I guess, writing off the legacy or the things that were accomplished.
And again, for me, people are quick to judge, man. People are quick to say something, especially today where we have social media and you can just be a million miles away behind a screen, whether it's on your phone or computer or a device, and just saying the craziest things you can say or the most disrespectful things you can say, because you know you're unreachable, you're untouchable. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people hide from that. You know what I'm saying? Or hide behind that. It's like, would you say that to that man's face? Would you say what you're saying to anybody's face? You know, and you could be that person that's like that person that's just gangster like that, cool. Yeah. But the majority of people aren't.
It's not a lot of people that's like that.
No, it's not. So it's like, I ain't judging nothing and nobody. When the whole thing came together, I said my job and my responsibility is to pray for all parties involved. Yeah. Him, the people that went through what they went through, that experienced what they went through, his family, his kids, like, it was tough to see. It was tough to watch. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I said, people are quick to judge, man. And I always say, like, listen, we all have our skeletons. We all have things that we've done in our past that are not okay. You know, so if, at the end of the day, if we was to take the covers off of that, or open up that door and expose all of what you've done in your life, what will we see? You know what I'm saying? And people don't think about that. People don't be mindful of saying, yo, I know that man's down, or whoever was affected, you know. It's like, but what have you done?
Yeah.
That no one knows about, that no one ever knows about, or no one will ever know about, because you're not a celebrity. You're not in the limelight. Nobody thinking about you. Nobody thinking about, you know, your life ain't being lived in front of the world. Celebrities are, artists are, entertainers are, athletes are. You know, so for me, it was just like, oh, who am I to judge, man? All I can do is pray for everybody involved. And that, you know what I'm saying? And that, I feel like that's the best way, and the best way to be. I'm not going to kick that man while he's down. That could be my father. That can be my son. That can be my brother. That can be, and even though if the situation is what it is, we're all human at the end of the day. Yeah. You know what I mean? So still, like I said, prayers to everybody involved. But like I said, one thing that when All About the Benjamins come on, if it came on right now, in the midst of us talking, we're going to react. If Hypnotized come on, I just went to see my family, Total and 112. They're on tour right now. To sit there in that audience and just hear those records live, thinking about when I first bought the CD or the tape when I was a little kid, when I first heard those records, to now those being my family members, my brothers and my sisters, and now seeing that live, bro, I feel the same way I felt when I first heard it. Yeah, because it's timeless music.
It's so many of these situations that it makes you feel conflicted, because we were some friends and I were talking the other day, and it's like, before I get to that point, if you look at somebody, for instance, like Bill Cosby, how many people went to college because they watch Different World? You know what I mean? Now, again, everything that this guy is convicted of doing is crazy. Absolutely. It's monstrous. And it's like, you know, again, like, you know, I have daughters, I have you know, a mom, I have a sister. So like, of course, anything that impacts women, like, you're like, this is a lot for you to process. Yeah. But do you take these shows off of TV? Like, you know, they don't play the Cosby Show anymore, but how many people looked at that and said, hey, I could be a doctor, or I could be a lawyer? How many people looked at A Different World? Yeah. How many of the actors on those shows are still eating because he made sure that they had the right contract? So it's like, it's complicated. I think as humans, we automatically lean on things just being black or white. You're evil, and then we're just going to throw everything out with you. And I think that's tricky. We talked about who could beat R. Kelly in a versus.
Bruh. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was sitting here, I was going to mention it. Like, somebody asked me a question, like, and, you know, people could do whatever we want to do, man. I can care less, man. The only person I fear is God. Like, R. Kelly is R. Kelly, bro. Yeah. Like you said, everything that he was accused of, everything that he played a part in, horrendous. Yeah. Not in agreement with any of it.
I think we're all on the same page. Right. Nobody's justifying or
at all
agreeing with any of that.
Like, he's where he's at. And if that's where God and the court system says that's where he belongs, it is what it is. Yeah. But we cannot sit here. And I won't even say we. I won't sit here and be like, nah, I'm never listening to R. Kelly again. He ain't that guy, or he was never that guy because of what he's going through at this current moment. Are you kidding me? One of the greatest writers and producers of all time. Play the records.
And I think there's a situation right now where I think the proceeds from the records do go to the victims and stuff like that. I think that's the way it's set up now.
Wow.
So, I mean, he's paying his debt to society. Again, man. The things that he was convicted of, and the things that, like, you know, he's like, I wasn't there, but the things he was convicted of are horrendous.
I agree.
It's tough, because you end up, as a black person, we don't have a lot of reference points. We don't have a lot of people that you could kind of put on these pedestals. Yes, so when someone does something that's ugly like this, it sucks, because it robs us of those reference points. It robs us of those people or those moments that we could be proud of.
Right. And I love that you said that, man, because it's like, and I'm grateful to my parents, man, and you know, back then, forcing me to go to church.
Yeah.
As a little kid, that's not where you wanted to be, bro. Like, I want to be home. I want to be watching cartoons. I want to be at the house playing games, like not in church all day, like not even knowing that a foundation was being built for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to be in, I always say I'm in the music industry, but I'm not of the music industry.
So you're able to avoid all the weirdness and...
Absolutely. Like, growing up, I couldn't go to no parties unless, my parents brought me. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't go do things with my friends. Or my friends was going bowling. My friends was going over here. It was a hard no. That was two places I can go, church and school. That was my only outlet. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of protected and hovered and covered, like, from that. So it's like, I wasn't exposed to that. So what am I missing out on? I don't know what I'm missing out on because I never was exposed to that.
But how do you, because there are some people that, because of the lack of exposure, they gravitate to it. They go nuts as soon as they have access.
I was so locked in, man. And like, I'm talking about locked in, because I said to myself, I have to figure this out in regards to how do I become the person that's in my dreams. With no help, with no real guidance, I had to figure that out. And I really wanted it. So all of the things that seemed cool, that looked cool, I didn't want no parts of that. I just wanted to make music. Lost girlfriends, lost friends. Like, we going out tonight? And I'm being my hand. You want to come to the crib? Making beats tonight? You want to watch me make beats?
Yeah.
Now imagine telling your girlfriend that at the time. She want to watch. I want to go to the movies. I want to go bowling. I want to go out. Not me coming to the house, seeing you wearing the same clothes you was in earlier in the weekend. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Did you shower? I did not.
Yeah.
But that was, and the women probably like, a lot of them stories, man, of just you being so locked in. You didn't want to do nothing else but that, and that's what it was. And then I just had a certain level of fear put inside me by my parents and by my pastor. Like, yo, you do this, you're going to hell. For me, at that time, I believed everything. Still to this day, and I'm proud to say it, and there's no judgment to anybody else. I'm 44 years old, in entertainment business, hip-hop, R&B, toured the world. Still to this day, I never smoked weed a day in my life. Because growing up, my parents instilled a fear in me of it. Like, yo, that's drugs. You try that, you're done. And they showed me people on the block. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that couldn't have been what they was using. But that's what they said to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's two ways you can take that. Damn, my parents lied to me. Why would they? Or, yo, they were really trying to protect me. They was really trying to keep me safe.
Yeah.
And that's how I viewed it. So to be able to say that, I'm not touching weed, bro. I'm not touching, imagine all of the other stuff that's there. No, I'm cool.
It's tough to explain nuance to a kid. These drugs are okay, but these drugs aren't okay. You just gotta, it's all gotta be a wash. Yeah.
And it was just, so there's a certain level of fear that I have. There's a certain level of respect and love that I have for myself. And just knowing right from wrong. Am I perfect? No. But it's certain things, this is just a strong no.
Yeah. So going back to you producing, what's the experience like producing for Dipset?
Crazy, bro. Like so the first song I did was Take Him to Church. That was Cameron. So shout out to Cameron. And that was a diss record towards Mace. That's when they was beefing at the time, going back and forth. Mace was, figuring life out, wanting to become a pastor, preaching, that whole type of thing. And they just, kind of had it out for one another. And I got caught up in that with the record that we created called Take Him to Church. After that, it was everything. Jewels, Hell Rel, J.R. Ryder, like Jim Jones, you know what I'm saying? And it just kind of opened up the door for others to hear what I was doing production-wise and appreciate the beats that I was making and wanting to tap in and wanting to be, a part of my beats. So that's how it all got started. I gravitated and developed more relationship with Jim Jones out of everybody. We made a record called My Diary, and just a classic hip hop storytelling record. And I remember going to the studio, being a little kid, not little, but young. Church clothes on, came straight from church, going to mix the record. Walk in the room, there's a million dudes in there, and I remember him making sure I was straight. Like, yo, you good? Yo, let him through. That's Amadeus. It's a producer, man. He made this beat, and everybody go crazy. Yo, you made that, bro. Like, and So many moments, man. So, but that was how it was and how I got started with Dipset. You know, these records are probably like 20 years old, 18, 20 years old now, man.
Oh, I remember the records. J.R. Ryder was my favorite rapper on Dipset.
Really?
He doesn't get enough credit.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like he probably never really had that standout record. Like, he had a few joints, but he never really pop. But he was such a dope writer.
Like, to this day, like, if I really sit and I haven't heard it in years, I could probably word for word go with the Halloween freestyle.
Really?
Yeah. That's like probably one of my favorite joints. Like, on repeat. Like, I burned a hole in that CD.
Wow.
How about G-Unit? What was that experience like?
So, shout out to, there was an A&R, female A&R at the time, right? Wasn't female A&Rs really wasn't like a thing back then. So, shout out to Ampora. Ampora Sap. I remember she was a A&R Interscope, and I would go up there and play her beats daily. And I remember her calling me one day and was just like, yo, 50 is doing a 2050 mixtape, and he used one of your beats. And I was like, word? And she was like, yo, it's crazy. She's like, I don't even want to send it to you. Like, come up to the office, I'm going to play it for you. Never met 50, you know, just was always submitting beats. You know, went up there, and she played it, and just me hearing 50's vocals on my beat, bro, that I made in my living room, man, was like the craziest thing ever, man. And the mixtape dropped. Everybody went crazy. Everybody lost it. Then, you know, the whole Gina kind of was familiar with the production based off of, you know, that record. And shout out to DJ K. Slay. Rest in peace, DJ K. Slay, because K. Slay was someone that put a lot of different artists on my beats. You know, he was working on the albums, and he was kind of like the face for underground hip-hop, and just would give up-and-coming artists opportunities to be seen, to be heard, for their music to be played on Sirius XM Radio and Hot 97 when he was on Hot 97. But he orchestrated a lot of features and a lot of key people, you know, on my production that I would have never imagined. And G-Unit, we did a lot with G-Unit, but that was through him. Tony Ayo, Lloyd Banks. I was on a Lloyd Banks mixtape. There was a record that K. Slay had put together where it was Tony Ayo, Lloyd Banks, Papoose, Lil Eazy-E, and Jim Jones, bro. Like, called Men of Respect. Like that, the combination, crazy, right? So, a lot of G-Unit joints, you know, end up becoming, you know, homies with 50, homies with Yayo, Uncle Murder, who's a part of G-Unit 2, got some work in with him. So it's like once you break in the team and the crew, and one person works with you, it kind of like puts the eyes on you from the other artists and everybody else that's kind of incorporated with the team and the family, and that's kind of like how it all came together with the whole G-Unit situation.
How does the mixtape, and this is just a separate thing, how does that mixtape situation work? Like, how do producers, or do they actually make money or get paid off of mixtapes? How does that? Oh,
we don't. Yeah. But a lot of people don't know that, so I love that you asked that question. It was more of a notoriety thing. It was more of like just getting your name out there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you remember, like, hip mixtapes was like one of the biggest things moving. Like, you heard a 50 mixtape was dropping, like you was waiting on the edge of your seat. A Dipset, you know what I'm saying? G-Unit tape was dropping, like you was fab, like it was just a thing to be a part of. So yeah, we weren't paid at the time for mixtapes, but it was such a moment to be a part of.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? It gained, you know, the attention of the audience, the listeners. You gained fans, you know, especially, you know, from the hip hop community. It puts your name out there for those in the industry that will also listen to, you know, the mixtapes. And that's why I was really big on credit. Like, yo, if you're going to pay me, definitely make sure it says produced by Amadeus so that the people would know. But I just had this own thing where I would send email blasts or mass texts to everybody in my phone because I wanted you to know that I made that particular song. And that was kind of a thing that I did that was very important, just to make sure people were aware of what you were doing. Because I was out there, but I wasn't like a partier. I wasn't into the clubs. So you would see me at industry events or different things that was going on, but I was mainly home and in the studio just working. So I would pop out every now and then just to be seen. But I had to make sure that, like, you don't see me, but you hearing me. And I had to make sure that people was aware of that.
Because, I mean, I know a ton of people ate off of mixtapes because, like, there was a time when,
Yeah.
again, I might be aging myself, but you had to pull up on somebody to buy a CD or
Absolutely.
buy a mixtape.
Absolutely.
And this wasn't something that you could go to FYE or one of the stores to
So
buy.
the streets, man.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I
The
remember
DJs was eating, the artist was eating, because I'm sure, I don't know what was their hand in hand, but if I come and drop you 50 mixtapes, somebody's eating somewhere, whether you buying them up front and then selling them, or I'm giving it to you. Once you sell it, you know what I'm saying? You hit me with kickback. I'm not sure what the details were, but us as producers, we definitely wasn't eating.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even tripping over that back then, because there was so many other ways, and we were being paid so well from actual commercial releases, and the producers.
And you look at it as marketing or something like that. You write it off that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So going back, but I guess going forward at the same time, I mentioned earlier that you toured with Trey Songz for 18 years.
Yes, sir.
In this industry, that's huge.
Yeah, man.
What was the initial link with Trey like, and then how did you guys get to the point where he's like, yeah, this is what we want to do?
So we met in the studio. We was in Houston. Shout out to Mike Jones. We were working on a record called I Know. I produced it. It was Mike Jones' song. Trey was the featured artist. Went to Houston, recorded it. We were in the studio. There's a drum set in the corner. I mentioned to Trey and Mike, like, yo, I play drums. And he was like, play no drums, bro. I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, I'm nice. Like, I play drums before I was producing. I'm a musician first in church. And, we kind of laughed about it. But in the same breath, I told Trey, I was like, bro, this is Trey, first album out, fresh out the gate, braids. Like, we just was introduced to Trey. Gotta make it. And I'm like, bro, the music you're making is super soulful. One day you're gonna need a band. When you do, call me. And that was what we said. That's what I said. He was like, all right, cool. Made the record, finished the record. Everybody, I think Trey was in Atlanta at the time. Mike was living in Houston, so he was cool. I flew back to New York. That was that. Record dropped, did his thing, dope record. A year later, I got a phone call from his manager at the time. Shout out to Delonte Murphy. He was like, you ready to put the band together? And I was like, He's like, yo, you told Trey that you was going to put his band together when he was ready. He's ready. You ready to put the band together? And I was like, nah. I don't know how to put no band together. I just said that to him. Like, I didn't think he was going to call. And he was like, well, we got a huge show, New York, R&B Spotlight Live. Everybody's going to be there. We need the band together. And I was like, all right, let me figure it out. Called my big brother. I was like, yo, man. His name was Butters. I was like, yo, we got, this artist named Trey Songz? He was like, yeah. He's like, yo, he need a band. Y'all want to rock? You want to play? And he was like, all right, cool. So I went to church and told my brothers like that I'll play with in church. Like, yo, let's go do the show real quick. Went did the show. Killed it. Crazy. All went back to church. A few weeks later, yo, you want to do another show? All right, cool. Did the show. Back to church. A few little one-offs. Then we got the call, like, y'all want to go on tour? And we was just like, and that was the call where it's like, as a church musician, bro, that's a dream come true. Church musicians dreamt of touring the world, playing some of the biggest arenas in the world. And we got that call, went on tour, came back home, went back to church. Growling stomach. You want to go on tour again? This time it was opening up for Jay-Z, Blueprint 3 tour. It's like, boom, did the tour, come back. Then we did Trey's tour. Bro, we never came back home. And I'm saying not, we came back home off breaks, but like we were out strong for like 15 years, bro. Tour after tour after tour. We'll come back, maybe get a month off. Right back out, 3 months, 6 months. And that was 18 years. And before you knew him, I'm like, yo, we've been doing this for 18 years. I got kids now. Trey got a son. Like, my brothers got kids. You know what I'm saying? Someone went off and got married. Like, we literally, 18 years, like, came up together as men. Young men into men. You know what I mean? And like you said, it's really rare for a band and a unit of brothers to be together. We call ourselves the Trey Songz Experience for this long. Now, have there been attempts to break up the band? Absolutely. For marketing purposes, for a look. I remember they was talking about getting an all-female band or getting some younger guys that had this type of look or that type of vibe, that type of image. And Trey was like, nah, these my brothers. This is it. These my brothers. This is who I have the best chemistry with alongside. And this is the Trey Songz Experience, bro. Like, nah, this is the band. And, here we are 18 years later, man. And Trey just celebrated 20 years of the Gotta Make It album. And, to be a part of that, 18 years of that, is crazy, and we're still going. You know, we got a show coming up. I ain't gonna say it, but we got a show coming up for New Year's Eve, and we still rocking, man.
Congratulations!
Thank you,
Like
my brother.
that's.
Thank you.
I had a conversation, and this was on another podcast, and I think we're living in a time where nothing really means anything. It's like, what have you done for me lately, or what was the last thing you did? And people will. I think the conversation revolved around Dame Dash, and I was like, all the current stuff or whatever you think of it aside, this guy's probably one of the most prolific talent scouts of all time. How do you take away anything the person's done by what's going on right now? Like how many people in the history of humankind, billions of people on Earth, have accomplished some of these things?
Right.
It's like a handful.
Yeah.
So for you to be in an industry where a hit song in of itself is this incredible thing, several hit songs is this incredible thing, and for you to be doing it for 18 years, well, that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that you brought that up, and I love that so it's 2 points I want to make. No, so the 18 years is for the touring aspect with Trey.
Yeah.
Me as a producer, 25 plus years. Like, I have to sit down and, like, really map it out, like, what's the timeline? Because it could be 30, it could be 35. You know what I mean? Because I started really young. But it's 2 points I want to make, because you brought up two important things. Damon Dash, and I've never really spoke on this, and I'm so glad you did. Damon Dash was partnered with Jay Brown. For those who are not familiar with Jay Brown's pivotal in a lot of careers. He worked at Elektra Records as A&R. Right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's not the president of Rock Nation. I don't remember what his title is. But Rihanna, think of all Rock Nation right now. He's right on the Hove is Jay Brown. And at that time, years ago, prior to my son even being born, they created a publishing company. And they signed me to their publishing company, Damon Dash and Jay Brown. And it was the dopest thing. And this was in the beginning. I only had Little Mo, Mike Jones, Dipset, G-Unit, Foxy Brown, and maybe a few others that maybe weren't as known as, you know, the other artists under my belt. And they saw something special. They saw something unique. They saw my work ethic and was just like, yo, we're going to sign him. We're going to give him a nice bag, and we're going to sign him to a pub deal. And the reason why I did it was because I had a son on the way. And I said to myself, and you can relate to this in regards to having up moments, down moments, getting a lot of money, not getting a lot of money. And I was like, the one thing that I don't want to do is not be prepared for my son that's on the way. So from a financial aspect, I want to make sure I'm good, and I want to make sure that he's good, and I'm ready for him and prepared. If he wasn't being born, I would have never signed that, because I would have waited till I created more of a resume and more of a discography as a producer to create more value to get paid way more money. Like this producer that's signing $1 million publishing deals, 20 million, 30 million. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I was like, nah, my son is on the way. I'm gonna do it. Greatest situation ever. Hands-on with Damon, hands-on with Jay Brown, with the publishing company that I was signed to, Cherry Lane at the time, hands-on, tap into ESPN, NASCAR, a lot of TV, film stuff, just dope, right? So I say that to say, people that are fans of me, that have known me all my life, never really knew that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at Dame in a whole nother light, like, because he believed in me and gave me a shot, him and Jay Brown, when I didn't even have a name like that yet. Right? So fast forward, I remember wanting, and this is really getting in depth, I remember my son being born, and I wanted to get a house. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to give him a better life. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate what my parents gave me, but they gave me what they were able to give me and my siblings. But I'm in the music game. I know what this is. I want a crib. I want him to grow up here. I want a backyard. I want him to be able to go outside like I couldn't. Yo, they renewed my deal and gave me a whole nother advance just for that. No publishing company does that. It's like, what you need? I said, I need this. I need that, what you gave me before, and a little more. And they was just like, had a little meeting, came back to me in a day and was like, we got you. We love your work ethic. We love your hustle. Anything we ask you for, you get it done. You work on your own. We believe in you, absolutely. And I was able to put a down payment on a house because of that, through Damon Dash and through Jay Brown. And to this day, no one knew that, right? So the company, you know how companies merge, and so it merged to Chrysalis, merged to BMG, kind of outed Damon and Jay. And I just ended up at a whole nother company where no one believed in me, no one really knew me, they didn't sign me. I was kind of like grandfathered in. And lost contact with Damon and Jay, right? Right before the pandemic, they had an opportunity to re-up my deal or to let me go. Because no one there signed me, there was no marriage. So they let me go. Pros and cons, right? For me, I'm like, well, damn, they don't believe in me enough to, like, you know, I'm working with Chris Brown now. I'm doing 50 songs with Chris Brown, bro. What you mean? I got signed when I didn't have none of this. But I looked at it as, these are not the people that signed me. They don't believe in me. They don't see the vision. So they let me go. So now I'm a free agent. And it hurt, right? Because I'm like, they don't believe in me. But then it was like God saying, yeah, but they let you out. And you free. Most producers and artists and writers are never released from their publishing deal. They're signed to that for life. So it was a moment of like, I'm a free agent. I can go over here. And still to this day, that was years ago, still to this day, I'm a free agent. So now all the publishing come to me. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to share that story because it's a story that's unheard of. So, like you said, life be lifing. And people go through things, and you could be at the top, and you could hit rock bottom. But it's about what you do when you're at rock bottom. You want to stay there? Or do you figure out a way to, and you may not even get back to where you were, but you ain't got to be rock bottom, though.
Yeah.
You can get to a certain point where you're good, where you're, like, people are judging and laughing at him. His family's taken care of.
Yeah.
He still got homes and businesses, and his kids are good. He paid for college cash. Like, and we don't know his business, but he's good. And I seen him recently. Shout out to my brother Dennis McKeezy and Off School Grounds, or OSG. I seen him recently, and the embrace. Years of not seeing him and speaking to him. And he was like, oh, Amadeus. And in that moment of me being a grown man now, with my son being 20 years old, he gave me that deal before my son was born. My son is 20 years old. I was able to, as a man, say, thank you, my brother. Thank you for investing in me. Thank you for believing in me before you believed in me and saw all of this. That's why you invested in me. And look, and he's like, bro, I'm so proud of you, man. And that was a moment. And this is with him going through all of what he's going through. And it was a moment where I never lost respect for him. I always seen him as the legend that he is. Not was, is. We wouldn't have no Jay-Z if it wasn't for Dame. I don't know all of the intricate details, but let's keep it a buck. Jay and Dame and Biggs were a team. Life happens, bro, where sometimes people separate. But like you said, like we said, we're not going to sit here and act like he didn't do what he did and he ain't create what he created. He's a visionary, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's and I know I went off on a tangent, you know what I'm saying?
No. I appreciate that.
Up, like, I had to share that story because, again, I've never shared that story. I was never asked that question, or was never an opportunity for me to do so. So when you brought him up, and this is what this is about. This is what PLLRS is
of course.
About. You get in those stories that are unheard.
I think it's. I think it's
crazy. You hear my stomach?
No. The mic's not picking that up.
I'm fasting. I'm intermittent fasting, but it's like.
Yo, I'm about to start one,
bro.
I'm about to jump on my fast too, because like right after any major holiday, after Thanksgiving, you know, Christmas coming up, I'm about to jump on my fast, 3-day fast. Yeah, coming up. Yeah.
Let me know what you're doing. I might join you with that, man.
All right, I'm 3 days water, black coffee.
Really?
Yeah, nothing else. Like 3 days straight.
3 days straight. Water, coffee,
black coffee. We get like I could go into that, but we're gonna do that off camera. We're gonna do that off camera. But when I think it's going back to that, what have you done for me lately mentality? I think it's so easy.
I forgot where we were, but I'm glad for you reeling back in. Appreciate it.
It's so much cooler to, I guess, now, like, nah, but you haven't done this. It's like, oh, you're a has-been. Like, you only, your last number one was like last year. It's just like, bro, what are you doing? Even, like, regardless of what it is. Like,
so true.
Shout out to Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Him being undefeated makes, like, oh, this boxer lost a fight? Oh, man, he's right. Washed up. He's nobody. He's a loser. He's a, what?
Oh, this is such a
like people are like the way reality due to social media and everything is skewed now is just, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, if you look at Dame Dash, outside of music, Dame Dash and him, you look at Lee Daniels or Kevin Hart, anybody, if you're looking at fashion, the people that are connected to the people, Dame Dash got the start with Kanye. Right. So you could essentially go down like whatever lineage where it's just like, okay, Kanye put on Virgil, so by extension, would there be a Virgil if not for Dame Dash and so on and so forth?
So you went a whole lot deeper.
So I mean, I like giving people their credit, like regardless of what they're going through now, regardless of if I personally agree with them or dislike them, whatever. You can't take away from what people have actually accomplished.
This is such a subject, man. Like, and I felt like I learned the hard way, right, of this topic, where it's so many things you feel and believe when you come into this, especially you come into this young. You come in, you thinking everybody your friend. You thinking people genuinely care about you. You think people genuinely love you. You think people are really loving and caring about your gifts and your talents. And you learn rather quickly, bro. Like people, not everybody, but a lot of people are just using you, man.
Yes.
And the moment you stop giving them what's needed for them to benefit, or because there's a million people that do what I do. There's a million producers out here, especially today. Now, when I first started, no. But now, everybody's a producer. Everybody can pick up a computer, a laptop, a DAW, their phone, and make beats. They couldn't do that 25 years ago, bro. You had to have the MPC. You had to have keyboards, and you weren't spending $2,500 for that. Like, they weren't. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about it, when I think back to, like you said, people could care less about what you've done, but like what you've done, what you're doing now, like where you are now, and it's like, and it's the most disrespectful thing you can do. And I learned it quickly, and I adapted, I adjusted, I pivoted, just like, all right, cool, that's what that is. All right, cool. And my why changed. You know, when I think about why I started creating music, it was strictly love and passion. Strictly, survival, me making it. I didn't even think about money. It was just, I'm occupied, I'm doing something positive, and something cool could come out of this, right? And then you get older, and you make the money, and it's like, okay, now I have a son on the way. Now I don't play with my money, like, because this is how I feed my family. It's how that mortgage is paid. We talked about this before when you first got the car notes, mortgages, school, clothes, food. Like, no, don't play with me, man. It's my son, because you messing with my son's plate. You know what I'm saying? And then fast forward, son is 20 years old, he's in college, and now it's like, it's different. I'm like, and I've never said this on air, man, but you've made it safe for me to say it. And I'm 1 foot in music and 1 foot out. I love it. I'm passionate by it still, the creativity of it, but all that comes with it. Like, bro, like the politics and, like you said, the people not being genuine and people not respecting who you are and what you've done. Like, yo, don't play with me, man. Like, me? You talking about me? I don't care what record you got out. What's on the radio right now? Do it for 25 years. Then come back and say something to me.
With no internet.
Do it for 25 years. You know what I'm saying? It's people that I came up with that are legends to me, that are pillars in the game that are nowhere to be found, that had huge records, but couldn't sustain, couldn't pivot, couldn't navigate through the time, through technology, through change. I'm right here, still working with some of my favorite artists and some of your favorite artists, still to this day, pivoting, working with the youngins. Like, now they calling me OG, young OG. It's crazy to be called OG. Not in a bad way, but like, it's like, but they're right. Because it's the same, well, I just spoke to Raekwon. Raekwon's show tonight, and him and Havoc. And we're talking about people that have made history. bro, you know how I'm excited I am for tonight? In my exact words to Ray, I was like, bro, and I call him legend. I address him appropriately. I call my heroes legends. I don't call Buster, hey, peace, legend. Hey, peace, Ray, peace, legend. You a legend, bro. Okay, if you never put out an album ever again, what you've done and the history that you've made and the records and the legacy that you've built, you will always be here for me. I told Raekwon, I was like, man, I hope I don't cry tonight, bro. And I meant every word because Raekwon, the Purple Tape, Wu-Tang, yo, I had to save up money to go buy the bootleg. I snuck and listened to those albums because at my home I couldn't play that. It's too much profanity. Like my parents are churchgoers. Like, so imagine playing those albums. To years later, now I'm in the industry. Now I'm producing for Raekwon, and now he's on my phone saying, "Yo, I'm a fan." What? You know what that meant? That's my hero. So tonight, as they perform the Purple Tape and Havoc, Mobb Deep, rest in peace, Prodigy, to hear those songs live that I listened to as a kid, that are 30 years old, and that's why I'm so glad that you said what you said.
Yeah.
One thing I will never, ever, ever do is disrespect those that have come before.
Nah, you can't, and it doesn't.
I don't care if they never made anything else ever again. What you've created is a staple, and I've learned that, man. I learned it the hard way, so I don't even take it personal, man. I feel like people, not everybody, and it's like relationships too. Sometimes you're just not appreciated. So when you do show appreciation, I honor that. And I'm grateful for that. So when you do give me my flowers, I smell them joints, bro. Because there's so many times you didn't have to do that. You could have looked at me like, yo, you just a has-been, or you ain't that guy. You ain't number one on the charts no more. Like,
I've never dropped a number one song. Like, how am I going to put down or shit on somebody when I've never accomplished? You've been somewhere I've never been before.
You be surprised, man.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, and I think that's more about the person than the person who accomplished it or that body of work or whatever it is.
You mad at me because you allow your fears to keep you from living your best life and going after all of the dreams and aspirations and the goals that you set for your life. You mad at me because you settled.
What was that that bar? You know the price of everything, but the value of nothing.
Whew.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
You settled and you mad at me.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm where I'm at today, where I'm still creating and I'm still producing and still touring. But my pivot, my focus now is inspiring the next generation and these young kings and young queens when I go into these schools, into these classrooms and speaking life, into that young kid that knows what he or she wants to be, but no one is having that conversation with them. Nobody is pushing them and saying, yo, you could become that, right? They're being forced to be something that they don't want to be because of their parents saying, we want the best for you. We know what's best for you. You should go to college. You should go to be a doctor. You should be a lawyer. Mind you, that kid is want to be a NASCAR driver. Mind you, she wants to be a makeup artist. Mind you, she wants to open up her business where she wants to do hair because she's going to school every day with them edges edging. I got a daughter. You know what I'm saying? That's 12. And they got their edges. They got their nails. They got the lashes. Like I'm speaking life, my role and my responsibility today, and I've accepted my calling. Yes, I will always, I won't say always, but I'm still creating music. I'm still producing. I'm still touring. I'm still performing. But the call that's on my life is to make sure that these young kings and young queens know that they can make it too. I'm from where you're from. I'm from the hood. I'm from the bottom. I've seen everything you've seen. I'm sure you've seen worse because I didn't have the internet. Now you got the internet now, so it's right in your palm of your hands now. But I want you to be great because at the end of the day, I always say every second. Right now is a song coming out. New artist, new producer, new songwriter. Every second. You can forget me when it comes to records, shows, songs I produced, performances. You can forget that because somebody else is performing right now as we speak. And that's cool. And I've come to accept that. But what you'll never forget is this conversation. What you'll never forget for that young kid, young king and young queen is me speaking life into you. Because when you do become all of what you dreamt of being, It's not. I didn't do it. God did that. But it was me lighting that match in your heart, in your life of like, yo, man, this dude named Amadeus came to my school, and he was dope, and he was cool, and I saw him doing all these amazing things, and he told me I could do it too. And he told me that he wanted me to do it, and he wanted me to go be better than him and outdo me. I want you to outshine me. I want you to be better than me, man. Like, that's what I want you to do. I want you to grow out. You have so much more at your fingertips than I had. So how do you not outdo me? But I want you to outdo me. I want you to be better. My son, I want you to be better. I'm not competing with you. I brought you into this world. I want you to outdo me. Be better. You carry my name. Continue the legacy. Right? So I could care less of what people think about a song or idea or God has sent people like you and people to give me my flowers.
Yeah.
There's things that can never be taken away. And it's not a gold record. It's not a number one, because that you can drop number one and go to be number two. You could be number 10. You could be number 50. But that street sign of mine that's in the Bronx,
Yeah.
that's down the street from my high school, that's down the street from Yankee Stadium, that's down the street from my middle school, can't take that away. The impact, that doctor, can't take that away. The Lifetime Achievement Awards for Community Service presented by Joe Biden, President Joe, can't take that away.
Even the music, like when you say like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I think the one thing the industry lacks is like, you know, a degree of like integrity in certain spaces and so on. And I think it's dangerous for people like you to kind of be like, yo, this is so weird now, I'm going to take a step away, because it's like the energy is like, imagine how much worse it is if people like you just completely step out of it. Like what's left? Yeah. Right? Going back to like a surreal moment of mine and like just giving flowers and everything. He's not even here. But I remember when I originally linked up with, and I consider him like a friend at this point. Like I originally linked up with Jerry Wonder.
My brother.
And I was like, yo, the score was like one of the soundtracks to my life. I'm not going to say kids don't have that now or people don't have that, because I seen some of the guys that went to the NBA YoungBoy concert crying, and I never cried to the score. So like they whatever they got going on, that's different. So I'm not taking anything away from that. Right. But yeah, that was like the soundtrack to my life. I remember soundtracks to like whether it be the Carter 2, that was a soundtrack to a whole summer for me, or graduation. But the score was, I told Jerry, I was just like, it's crazy we're just hanging out right now, because this was a big deal for me. I remember the first time I seen the Fuji Live music video. Like that was like, I was mesmerized. I'm like, I couldn't look away. Yeah. So I think it's important for us to name those people and build those people up, because of the situations where we lose people that are those reference points. I think it's on us to build those people up and say, look at this guy. Like you may not know him, but he did this. Or you like, look at Amadeus. He accomplished these things. He, regardless of whether you like the music or whatever it is, he built a living. He took care of his family. He created opportunities for people. Yes, sir. Doing this. Yes, so I think it's important to name those things and talk about those things.
History. Yeah. You know, most kids, you know, they don't care, man. They just like, if whatever's hot right now is what we on. Yeah. You know, and that's that. And again, I don't take it personally, because when I think back to like my parents, right? You know, I was listening to KRS-One and Brand Nubian and Wu-Tang and Nas and Hove and Biggie. My parents just like, this is junk. Yeah. Like, because they had Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and the Bee Gees and Chic and the Furious Five, Salt Pepper. Like, to them, that was real music. What I was listening to was trash. So when we fast forward, you know, and that's why I'm very careful when it comes to the next generation and the new music, where it's like, I remember what it felt like when, and I didn't even make the music, it was just what I listened to. I remember when my parents told me it was trash, bro. I felt the way. I was pissed. Yeah. It's like, yo, just because you can't relate and it ain't your thing doesn't make it garbage. So when I fast forward to where I am today, and, you know, my son is listening to Playboy Cardi and, you know, Cash Cobain and the artists he likes, like, I don't be like, that's whack. Yeah. You know, some of it I actually like, and some of it is I would say it's not my cup of tea. And I compare it to a cup of tea. You might like chamomile. I might like lemon ginger.
Yeah.
And you drink yours, and I drink mine. Like, right? And we have a choice of what we want to drink. I don't have to drink chamomile. I'm going to drink the tea that I like. And the same thing with radio and what we listen to. You can press play. You can press stop. You can change the station. You can turn the volume up and down. So what I would never do is downplay or talk down to someone's creativity because it's not my cup of tea. Because it changes. From Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, to Biggie and Nas and Wu-Tang, to Drake and Lil Wayne, to Playboy Cardi, Cash Cobain. Like, it changes. Styles changes. Genres changes. It evolves. And I'm not going to be one of them haters that's like, oh, this is...
Of course.
It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah. You drink that?
Mm.
I'm gonna drink this. You know, every now and then you might create a different type of flavor. You know, like I like that. I might take a little sip of that, but I'm not gonna downplay it or speak down because this is how they're eating. Yeah. This is how they're taking care of their families, and as long as they're doing something positive, you know what I mean, and not hurting anybody or doing anybody harm, and you eating and you surviving and you doing what you love. Salute.
And I think that's dangerous too, because I think that's one of those things where once you've decided, oh, all this old stuff or all this, and I don't want to say old because it has a negative connotation, but all this stuff that I had or liked or enjoyed is better than all of this new stuff. You've already, one, you stopped learning because you just shut your mind off. And then two, you've also decided without realizing it that, like, I'm obsolete. Like, I'm not engaging in any of this new stuff. Think about all the businesses that was like the internet's a fad, or I'm not going to mess with that, or I'm not going to mess with social media, or this is corny, or like.
And that's how you lose. That's how you. And that's why when I talked about, like, people that I came up with or people that I looked up to or that it just, you know, faded out. And it was just like, yo, you got to be able to evolve. You can't be mad at it. Like, this is the direction it's going in. Like, you know how hard it was for me as a creative to be able to tap into, like, where technology was from creativity, like computers. Like, nah, bro, I'm from the beat machine era. Yeah. I got 800 keyboards. Like, not just me opening my laptop and everything is there and me telling it to do. Like, there's no shot. It's just like, yo, it took me a long time to be able to. But you have to evolve if you want to make it. If you want to win, that's like going into the studios back when we used to do it and creating with the artist directly and playing beats and recording and writing and mixing. Like, nah, bro, I haven't been in the studio in like 15 years because it's different. Yeah. Yo, send me the beats. So all these songs I got with Chris Brown, like, I've never been in the studio with Chris Brown a day in my life. And we have over 40, 50 songs together. Some that's half of it that's out, half of it that's not. I've never seen the inside of the studio with him. And that's the process. His studio is at his crib. So when he want to wake up and go write, you know, a record to Amadeus Peak, he can go do that. He in LA. I'm in New York. So it's like,
So you've never recorded in the same room as Chris?
No. Probably the last 50 artists I probably work with. No. Never. The only thing I've seen, the only time me and Chris Brown was in the same room was when we was on tour for the Between the Sheets tour with Tiger, Trey Songz, and Chris Brown. We was on tour for months. That, Dre's, because he has a residency at Dre's nightclub. I have a residency at Dre's nightclub, so does Trey Songz. There, like, if it wasn't a show. Yeah.
Now I need at least one Chris story out of you.
I don't have nothing, like, because it was always so quick, man. Like,
because he's one of the artists that, to me,
I got a story.
Is always
okay. Just came. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic.
So I'm glad. Okay, you got it at me. After each show, Chris, he's so musical and talented and so excited.
Super talented.
Like a genius. Just super excited about creativity. So in his dressing room, he'll invite people inside, and he'll just sit there with his phone connected to a huge speaker, and he'll play music. That's it. All night. People drinking, doing what they doing, having a good time, and your boy is playing unreleased songs that he's made for hours. So I would always, depending on where we were, what city we was in. I think we were in New York. I think we was in Brooklyn. Was it Barclay? No. We were somewhere. I think it was Jersey. And he's in his dressing room, and he's playing a record, and a record comes on. And at that time, I didn't know the title, but this record is called Take a Risk, and it's on the Indigo album. And he had just got the Indigo tattoo on his face, and he looks at me, he goes, that's the name of the album. I was like, what? He's like, Indigo. And he's like, I'm putting this on the album. And I said, this? And it's the record that we called Take a Risk. Shout out to my brother DeMiro, the one who made that with. And it was one of the first songs he recorded for the Indigo album. So he's playing all of these songs. Another song comes on we did. He doesn't even know I did it. So as he's playing them, I was like, yo, that's me. And he's like, that's you? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, he don't even know. Because he's playing songs, and I'm hearing song after song after song that we made together. Fire. And that's what it was. And it was a scary position to be in because it was like the song we made kind of set off the album, the Indigo album. But bro records like 100, 200 songs.
Yeah.
So if you recorded this song at the beginning of you working on the Indigo album, and you recorded 200 songs, there's no guarantee that that song is gonna make it because you recorded 2 other songs. So I always, as a producer, I don't want to come in at the beginning of you working on an album. I want to give me like the middle or towards the end because it can take a turn creatively, where that don't fit no more. That don't fit the direction that I'm going in creatively. So thankfully, thank God. And I didn't know whether it was going to make it until he dropped the track listing. So I remember on Instagram, he dropped the track listing, and I'm like, I didn't even know the name of the song. So the engineer, shout out to my man Tizio, and he's like, he texted me, he was like, congrats, man, you made the album. I was like, whew. And that was a moment where, and mind you, I didn't hear the song. So I heard the song when everybody else heard the song when the song dropped. And you do that because you don't want anything to get leaked. You don't want anything, you don't want nothing to happen to that song. So you're not going to send it to me. So I hear everything with Chris Brown. I heard it when everybody else heard it. I didn't hear the mix. I didn't the mastering. When you heard it was when I heard it. Then that's when the album dropped. So that was what it was. And then prior to the Indigo album, we was on a Heartbreak on the Full Moon album. Heartbreak on the Full Moon album. We did 9 songs on that album. You know what I'm saying? And it was the same process. Like when the album dropped, I think there was like 77 songs. That's when I heard it. But never, ever, ever was Chris Brown and I in the studio together. Like we just had a dope chemistry, bro. Like whatever I sent him, I would send him everything. Hip hop, R&B, trap, EDM, dance music, ballads, mids, ups. There was never a folder that I sent that he didn't create like 4 or 5 songs to. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, when I think about like me sending like beats to artists or newer artists or other artists, he sets the standard so high because I'll send, so a folder of like 20, 25 beats and they'll be like, yo, I didn't really hear nothing. I'm like, I sent Chris Brown the same folder and he picked 7 tracks. What are you not hearing? And not to compare them, but it was just to talk about how dope he is as a creative. Where, and I'm not saying he may not have even loved everything, but he's had a vision for it and he saw it and he heard it, and he was able to pin, something to it, man. So he's special, bro. He's like special. Yeah,
super talented.
Yeah.
Super talented. I think I've argued with people if it wasn't due to a lot of unfortunate circumstances, I feel like Chris would be as big as Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
feel like he is though.
Yeah.
I feel like he is. Because he just got off that tour.
No, the tour is massive. The tour is
massive.
Bro. But I'm just saying, if you're looking at like the marketing dollars that go beyond Beyonce, if you're looking at like her last tour, I think had a theatrical release. Like I mean, I think Chris Brown as an artist, like massive. If you were to like put him song for song against a lot of the biggest people in the industry, it's
I think
he stands up to it.
I think he's there.
But if you remember,
it's just a different lens, like you said, it's just a different lens.
The perspective shifts. But if you remember prior to all this, like I mean, prior to all of the unfortunate circumstances, like he was doing movies, like he had like major deals in terms of endorsement, stuff like that. That trajectory, if it maintained, like it's
But that's what I got a problem with, right? Where the expectations of people.
Yeah. People aren't allowed to be human. It's dehumanizing. But at the same time, I think you get to a point where I haven't had to deal with the scrutiny they deal with. I haven't, like, I mean, I've gotten like X amount of attention. And even within that, you could sort of empathize, and it's just like people don't really care what you're dealing with. They don't care what you're going through. You have bad days like everyone else has bad days. You get sick. You're human. You have feelings. You experience stuff. You have bad days with loved ones.
I just hate that, man. Yeah. I just hate the fact that if you're an entertainer, if you're a celebrity, if you're of one of that level of status, that in front of my eyes as a person, you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. How? Are you perfect? Yeah. No. Where's the camera? Are you perfect? No. Yeah. So why do you expect others to be perfect? And the moment they fall, you beating them up while they're down. Yeah. It just and I love that you brought that up when it comes to companies and $1 million deals and opportunities. You make a mistake, you're done. Yeah. How is that okay?
Yeah. But the beauty of where everything's at now is there was a point where if they flipped that switch, you really were done. And now, because of the internet, because so many things have been like democratized and you have access, you could build your own fan base. You don't necessarily depend on those companies. Correct. I think it just sucks.
They're using us anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not mad because at the end of the day, if you're gonna sign me to whatever brand and you're gonna pay me $100 million, like, I know I'm being. Come on, bro. You're using me and my celebrity and my grace and my music and to sell your stuff, but you're gonna pay me $100 million, so it's cool. You know what I mean? So it's like, but the moment we make a mistake, you know what? No, we don't want to party. So you want the good of me.
Yeah.
You want whatever's beneficial to you, but the moment I make a mistake as a human being, you out. It's so whack. Like,
I mean, it's trash, but I mean,
so whack, bro.
That's just the world we live in.
Man. That's why, like, listen, anybody, especially us in our culture, anybody want to do any partnerships, man, tax them.
Yeah.
No, it ain't enough. I need more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're using you anyway, so let's use each other. Give me $150 million. No, I'm gonna come over here because somebody's gonna give it to me because I'm worth that and worth more. Like, tax them, bro. Tax them, man. Like, tax them.
I'm with that. So yeah, this conversation was fire, bro. I enjoyed sitting down with you.
This was legendary, man.
Like I definitely appreciate it. I'm definitely honored you pulled up and even gave me the time of day, bro.
Thank you for having me, bro. Like,
I think it's
like, I feel like this conversation has inspired me in so many ways, right?
Yeah, you're not done, bro.
No, yeah. I know that.
Yeah.
But like it just gets so annoying, man. And at the end of the day, I'm and you know me, man. I'm a positive. I try to be as positive as I can. I try to be as influential in a positive way. I try to be a light in the world of darkness. But at the end of the day, I'm still human. At the end of the day, I still have feelings. I still have emotions. I have down moments. I have moments where I don't feel I'm that guy. Where I feel like I'm not great, or I look at stuff and like, but you didn't do this. And that's why you got to be careful with your mind and make sure that you feeding it as much positivity and you remain as prayerful as you can possibly be, man. Because the enemy can trick you, man. It can fool you out of who you are and your greatness and what you stand for and what you've done. So I'm grateful to be able to sit across from you as a black king and as a black man to receive my flowers from you, man, and for you to just say, yo, appreciate you, thank you for what you've done, what you've created. You're not done. You have so much more to go.
Best is yet to come, man.
You know what I mean? So I received that, man, and I appreciate that, man, and I'm grateful to be a pillar. You heard?
Yeah. You gotta. I think the key is we get to a point where we forget that there was a point where we prayed to be at where we are right now. And we through blessings and different benefits through our hard work, we forget that hunger. But if you could tap into that dude that was waiting outside the studio for Redman, if you could tap into that energy, bro, the best is yet to come, man.
And you killed it with that, because when people say, what would your older you tell a younger you?
Yeah. if your old self, if that kid outside of the Def Jam building had the resources you have now, what could he do?
And that's the key, right? Where I didn't have none of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I think back to Lil Amadeus, that little kid, you know, before there was an Amadeus name, Antoine Thompson from the projects, from 169 Washington Avenue, from the Bronx, that little kid that was fearless, that didn't let anything and anyone stop him from becoming who I am today. Like, shout out to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I want to go back to that fearlessness, and remember when I had nothing, and I wanted to be where I am today, and now I'm here. It's like, nah, bro, you gotta keep going.
Tap in, man.
Absolutely.
All right, I appreciate you sitting
Thank
down
you,
with me,
brother.
Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys for pulling up again for another One of One podcast. Follow, subscribe for more from Pillars. And again, it's been an honor